All right, so it is recording.
Yep. Great, thanks. All right, I'm going to call to order the Electrical Work Board meeting of September 25th, 2020 at 9:08 this morning. Before we get into the agenda, I just wanted to address make a statement here on one of our deceased board members. As most everybody, I think, knows, board member Tony Soder passed away on August 26th of this year. Tony was the assistant business manager of IBEW Local 488 in Monroe, and obviously was very active in his local union. Tony, as everybody knows, was a tremendous asset to our electrical work board. He's certainly going to be missed sorely because Tony always had good questions. He had good responses for people. He helped to give direction to those appearing before the board. And Tony, of course, Tony's someone that I consider to be, and I think most board members did as well, was a good friend. He was very respected. I know from my perspective he was. And Tony, as a union member, and myself as a non-union member, always worked towards the betterment, as well as the rest of the electrical board, to the betterment of the electrical industry. As I said, Tony will be greatly missed by this board and his colleagues. I would like to just take a moment of silence in his memory, as we've done for previous board members that have deceased. So, if we may. Thank you. Okay, going to our agenda. Board members have received, and I guess let the record show that currently appointed board members are all here. That includes Peter Jennings and John Yusa. Board members have received the draft minutes of the July 24th, 2020 meeting via email. Have had an opportunity to review those. Based on that, I would accept a motion on those minutes from one of the board members.
Make a motion they be accepted.
I'll second.
Okay. Was there any discussion on that motion for the minutes? Hearing none, all in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Identify yourselves as you do it, because we're virtual here, so.
John Yusa Jr., aye.
Peter Jennings, aye.
Thank you. Obviously no one's opposed. Okay, so the board minutes are accepted. Thank you. We have a portion of the minutes, the meeting, I should say, where we accept comments or concerns of any person that may be on the call today relative to non-agenda items. If there's anybody here, would they please speak up? Hearing none, indicate there are no public comments or concerns at this time. We have our DCP Investigations Division quarterly complaint status.
Good morning, Pamela Brown. I'm sorry.
Hi, Pam.
Hi. Good morning, Pamela Brown, Director of Investigations. Janita Hamill, Supervising Special Investigator, will be reporting out.
Okay, so who's going to be reporting that again, Pam?
Janita Hamill.
Okay, Janita, as I was saying, everybody's got a copy of this. They've had a chance to review it. Does anybody have any questions on it? It's for the periods indicated at the bottom of the page, each page. Okay. I see a few familiar names on here, of course. And
Mr. Chairman, excuse me, which page are you looking at with the familiar names?
I'm going to say, first up, it's the, it would be the first page, and it would be case number 2018-336.
Okay,
And I see that that's being moved into a new complaint file for 2020.
all right, bear with me.
Mhm.
2020. Again, what's that number?
Okay,
Sir?
the original number was 2018-336, but it says closing file and opening complaint file number 2020-3.
Yes,
So
yes,
I'm
there
assuming
is
that
a new open file. Yes,
against that person.
yes, sir.
Okay. And the previous file is going to become part of that file as well?
I believe that's what the inspector is writing there.
Okay. Okay, so we'll follow that in 2020-3 scenario as it comes forward.
Yes, sir.
Okay. Janita?
It is entirely possible that the 2020-3 file
Mhm.
may have a criminal component to it that's being investigated
Right,
for obvious reasons.
correct. So, yeah, I just,
That's all we can say, sir.
yeah, I just want to make a comment that I see that that's back and I see it's been moved, so that's fine.
Okay, thank you.
No, I appreciate that. The only other question I have is on the second page of the first report,
Okay,
which is, I'll give you the case number, 2020-57.
okay, all right. And yes,
That same information appears in the second report dated 6/1 to 7/31. And that's the last case on that one as well. So I assume one of them is a duplicate. Just got carried over.
yes, that would be correct, but you have to bear with me because you have all the forms. I've got to go and get it electronically,
Okay.
so. Yes, sir, it is. It's the same file number. It's on there a second time.
Okay. I just want to make sure there wasn't a second case.
No, not at all. Not at all.
Okay, great. And my last question is on 6/1 report, but since you don't have that in front of you, it's case number 2018-253.
Okay, no, I have to find the arrows to get back and forth over there.
Okay, take your time. Time's up. No, I'm only kidding.
No.
Adding the pressure.
Oh, thanks. As you know, so the 2018-253.
Yeah, let me just ask you the question before you say much more. Under the resolution notes,
Yep,
SOL lost. What is it, SOL?
statute of limitations.
Okay,
As you know, in our chapter 393, since October 1st of 2007, with the criminal sanctions being added, that the statute of limitations, it's a misdemeanor, and we only have a 1-year statute of limitation on that.
okay. Yep,
So,
I just wasn't sure what the SOL was standing for.
and we apologize, because I will make sure the inspector knows to spell it out, because I believe this goes back to when Director Newman was here. He had asked for the boards, not just your board, that abbreviations, please let's not use them. And what do they mean? So it's statute of limitations. I'll make a note on my pad and I will talk to the inspector.
Okay, great. That's fine. Other than that, I don't have any questions on that, those two reports. Any board member have any other questions? Any questions at all?
No questions.
No.
Okay. Janita, do you have anything you want to add at all at this point?
No, sir, you have the reports, you have basically the reports from the first of the year through to August 31st of this year. I'm here to answer any questions you or Mr. Jennings or Mr. Yusa have. And that's it.
So Pamela Brown, Division Director for Investigations. I just want to add, with the lost SOL does not mean that we did not investigate it in a timely manner so that we could not meet the 1-year statute of limitations. It just may mean that when we received it, sometimes we might receive a case 10 months into the SOL, so it's all time sensitive. I just wanted to go on the record with that.
Okay, great. Thanks, Pam. Okay, I have no other questions on that for investigations. Next item of business is old business. Discussion regarding potential changes to regulations or statute. A while back, I had made some comments, and we had briefly discussed with the board members then about possibly any changes or any recommendations that we might want to provide to the department, to the commissioner, for changes or modifications to the regulations, statutes. The biggest, one of the areas we were talking and concerned about was continued education requirements, possibly some exemption for certain license types. Again, this is all possible things. Requirement for continuing education providers to hold a minimum of 4 classes per year. And also the possibility of combining some limited licenses. While I'd like to start that discussion, I will also share with the board and everybody else on this call that I've been in contact with the governor's office, and we are supposed to be getting some new additional members appointed to the board, which were supposed to hopefully happen yesterday. However, apparently it did not, for whatever reason, I don't know. I haven't had a response back yet. Um, Sometimes they cancel these meetings. Sometimes something more important comes up for the governor. So I'd like to just table that at this point. Again, rather than have a discussion between the three of us, I'd rather be able to have, I believe we're going to be seeing probably 4 more board members. And if that's the case, I'd rather include everybody and have everybody start at this on the same page at the same time for the discussions. With that being said, assuming the appointments are made very shortly here, our next actual time we will meet will be October 23rd, and that's a hearing. I don't feel that it's the right thing to do to just introduce any new members in at a hearing. I really would feel uncomfortable if I were they. So my intent is to, once we have those new members appointed, is to try to coordinate and schedule a separate meeting of just open to the public, but a board meeting to discuss with them what takes place at the board, and also get into the hearing aspect of it, because that's the first thing they're going to really be exposed to. And obviously I would like to have a number of different people from the department in that meeting and help with the communications of how the hearings go and so forth and so on. We'll say just keep your eyes open for, watch your emails, because hopefully we'll be having an interim meeting of that nature. Okay. Anybody have any comments to that or objections?
I have none.
None.
Other than poor Karen that's got to schedule another meeting. And the rest of the staff that's got to attend. So we'll put that off for the time being. Table. Item number 2 under old business is continuing education audit cases. This is continued from the July 24th board meeting. First one is it's case 2019-1247. Somebody from the department going to address that, probably Paulette.
Hi, everybody again. So this is the meeting where on these 2 cases that we have on the agenda, 2019-1247 and 2019-1299, the board had already voted to reconsider the final decisions. And these are the 2 cases in which these respondents had in fact taken the course, the 2016-2017 course, and the department, somehow we overlooked it. They did get hearing notices, and that's why these decisions were made adverse to them. And so today, at today's meeting, the board needs to vote on whether to modify, affirm, or reverse the final decision. And my recommendation is that these 2 cases should be reversals of the final decision.
Can I interrupt for 1 second? Excuse me. Arunan has joined us, and I just want to see if he wants to come in as a panelist and speak, or if he wants to remain where he is before you go any further.
He certainly may come in as a speaker.
Oh.
Good morning, Arunan.
Just makes that.
Good morning. I was just coming in to observe. I don't need to speak. Thank you though.
Feel
Okay.
free to though, of course.
Okay.
Yeah. So Paulette, yeah, and I'm looking at my notes back then as well. The information that we got from the department afterwards, where the information was confirmed that they had taken the classes and so forth. And in the case of 2019-1247, I believe we had a civil penalty of $1,000 and no makeup class needed. And in the case of 1299, I think that one I didn't have here, but remember
It was the same.
same thing.
Yep.
So
Yep.
I would say that I would entertain a motion from the board to reverse our previous decision on that because the information had been provided, but it wasn't necessarily readily available for us at that hearing. And reverse that final decision, as I said. So, can I get a motion?
Question, Larry.
Pardon me?
Larry, question. Did they take the test or take the education after they had been basically caught not doing it, or did they actually take it and there was no record of it?
Yeah, they actually had taken it. There was no record, but the record was found afterwards that they did take it. So,
Actually,
Okay.
just
they had
to,
taken it.
they actually did provide the information at the time, and I don't know, because we had so much information coming in, and the individual at the time who was taking the information, I guess, didn't somehow record it, or it was recorded somewhere and it didn't get to legal. So they did actually provide their certificates, and so we had them resend it to us when they said, we already took, I took the course back in 2017. So they did actually take it at the time and did provide it during the time that we did the audit. But
Okay, thank you very much.
Yeah. You're welcome.
Is there a motion to reverse those decisions?
I'll make a motion to reverse.
I'll second that, Peter Jennings.
Okay. Any further discussion? All in favor of reversing those decisions on case number 2019-1247 and 2019-1299?
John Yuza, yes.
Peter Jennings, yes.
Okay. Motion carries. Those are reversed. Paula, thank you very much for.
Thank you.
Next is B, case number 2019-1307.
Okay, so this was one of the cases that, for whatever reason, we didn't have a decision at the time, and then the board eventually did draft a decision, and in that decision, the final decision order, it was ordered that this person would pay, I think it's $1,000 and no makeup class. And so within the 15 days that are allotted for a request for reconsideration, the respondent did file a request for reconsideration. And Karen, did you provided the document to the board?
I had just emailed that to them before the meeting, so they all have it in their email.
Okay, so that document that you have, that letter that he sent, that is his request for reconsideration. And so today, the board should be voting whether they, based on the information that he's provided in that letter, whether the board is going to reconsider the final decision in order.
Does everybody have that, John and Peter?
I'm looking for it right now.
I thought I had sent it with the agenda when that went out, and then Larry, let me know before the meeting that I must not have. So then I sent it right before the meeting started. So let me know if you.
I'll read it. It's not that long of a memo from him. It was dated 8/9/20. Director DCP. I'm writing to ask reconsideration in the matter of Christopher Pizak, case number 2019-1307. The final decision maybe was based on me missing a hearing on 11/8/19. But prior to that, I had gone to another appointment in Hartford and explained to them why I had missed the refresher. In the beginning of September, of that year, my nephew, Jeremy Zach, took his life. He's also my godson. And at 23, he was gone. I had registered to take the course in September, didn't make it because of this tragic event. I took the course in 2018 and 2019, and I am scheduled for 9/22 for this year. I don't understand why you wouldn't consider this not to be a hardship. During these times, there are many hardships. I lost my beautiful wife, Shannon, in March of this year, 6 weeks after we moved into the new house. We had to rebuild after the old one was destroyed by a fire on Easter Sunday, 2018. Also, with this pandemic happening, I am currently not working and don't have a lot to spare. $1,000 is a lot of money. So please reconsider your decision. Thank you, C. Zach. Okay.
So let me just go over the elements for reconsideration. So again, you're just voting whether the board's gonna decide to reconsider, and then you can have another meeting in which you, if you decide to reconsider whether you want to reconvene to rehear the case, to have a hearing. So the elements for reconsideration are an error of fact or law that should be corrected, new evidence that has been discovered which materially affects the merits of the case, and which for good reasons were not presented at the agency proceeding, and he was not at the hearing. Or C is other good cause for the reconsideration has been shown. Let me know if you want me to read that again.
Yeah, would you please?
So you can reconsider on the following grounds. An error of fact or law should be corrected. New evidence has been discovered which materially affects the merits of the case and which for good reasons was not presented at the agency proceeding, or other good cause for reconsideration has been shown. So he was not at the hearing, so there was no evidence that was presented by him. It was just what the department had presented. And whether he's providing new evidence now that he could not have provided at the time, and again, he was not at the hearing, or other good cause. And that's not defined, so kind of more like a discretionary clause, other good cause.
Well, from my comment, I guess, is this, that there were many other classes offered for that class, dates that classes were offered for that continued day. By the same token, based on the information he's putting in here, I mean, there's no question he's been through some tough times. And I guess I would consider reconsideration and dropping that case based on some of the hardships that he's kind of indicated here.
Larry, he has taken his 2018, 2019, I believe.
That's what he said. That's what he's indicated in his letter, yes.
Has he submitted proof to that?
No, he did not. He just submitted, and he was scheduled for September 22nd.
Well, I mean, I understand everything, but I know also that when we started the audit and we sent out a whole bunch of letters stating that people were deficient and we were running a bunch of classes and everything else, that was all after that initial September, you know, because we did the audit, it was September, then we did the audit, and December, and letters went out in January, if I remember the timelines correctly. So we had all that January, February, March, April, because we didn't do any of the hearings or anything else until we started in July. And there was, you know, we sent notification, we sent multiple notifications, and we're running classes. So, you know, I mean, I do sympathize with them, and you know, I know it's a tragic series of events, but we still do have that, you know, large gap in which things could have been corrected. And, you know, with the other hearings and not showing up and things like that, it's just.
Yep. Yep. I know it's, I mean, it's a little difficult when you take a look at the situation. By the same token, that did go out at $1,000, obviously. Correct, Pam? I mean, Paulette?
Say that again? I'm sorry.
That did go out at $1,000 to him, right?
$1,000, yeah.
Yeah.
I mean, is the fine supposed to be a punishment? And in this case, if he did not take any of the continuing ed, that's one thing. But if he's now in the last 2 to 3 years taken the continuing ed, that might be something to consider.
Yeah. I suppose we could ask him to provide us with proof, excuse me, that he's taken those other the following 2 years of continued ed, just to substantiate his written statement here.
I would support that.
Peter, how do you feel about it? And then, I mean, then we can think about it. Maybe we want to let him off the hook or give him a nominal penalty. You know, reduce it, whatever we want to do. But is that possible?
So are you? So what I'm suggesting is, if you vote to reconsider, then you could then schedule a meeting in which he could appear and provide whatever documentation that you are seeking that would help you decide what you want to do with that final decision. That's why I think it probably should work.
Okay. Yeah, I would agree with that. Yeah. So let's somebody get a motion out there to reconsider. We will reconsider it, but that he also needs to provide some documentation to document the events that he's indicated here relative to continued education.
I would agree to that.
I'll second that motion.
Okay. Any other discussion? That work for you, Paulette?
Yeah, that's your decision. You voted to. So you granted his request for reconsideration. Yep. And then I will work with Karen or Terry Jo to schedule something, because we do have some other cases that we still have to schedule a meeting, or we'll call it a hearing. 2019-1244, 2019-1227, and 2019-1258, where the board had voted to reconsider, but you want these individuals to attend a hearing in which they can further put on information to substantiate what their claims were.
In this case, I think we definitely want them to attend.
Yes. So I suppose we could do all those on the same day.
Yep.
Are those the ones already scheduled for October 23rd, or you're talking?
No, that's totally different. These are ones that were in our, I think it was July. Was it July when the board had met to reconsider these number of cases, and all these cases were a vote to reconsider, but with an additional hearing for them. One was a reopening, And the other two were, the board wanted the individual to be present and to provide information to substantiate their claims.
Right. Okay. All right, so we have a motion and a second. All in favor?
Aye, John
Aye.
Yuza.
Peter Jennings.
Excuse me, motion carries. Okay. Excuse me, number 3. Update on online continuing education classes and extensions of due date for completed classes for the 2020 cycle. My understanding in talking to some of the providers is that the online classes that they've offered have gone relatively well. There are some people with technical difficulties on them that had. There are some that some people that have just said, we like that format, and others that said, I want to be in person. I like the in person. So it's still a mixed bag. As far as an extension of the due date for completing classes, I think everybody realizes, or they should realize, that although our license renewal just took place, that through the governor's office and his executive orders, they have until December 31st of this year to take their continued ed, and there would be no penalty for the renewal. The renewal process, if you go online now, that question about have you taken your continued education for this year has been modified and expands it till December 31st. So I think that's about all we can look at right now, because we don't really know come December where we're going to be standing on all of this, where the governor is going to be standing. Phase 3, the governor has announced that it looks like October 8th. He's going to allow for more in-person people, and also for outdoor gatherings as well, along with a few things. So I think we have to just basically wait and see where it goes. My intent is to request probably in early December or mid to late November to ask Richard if he can get us a count on PSI as to how many have been reported relative to the number of licensees, less an allowance for those that have retired maybe, or those that have just gotten their license that don't have to take the test. And then in conjunction with whatever the governor is going to do relative to the pandemic, come up with some sort of a solution, whether we extend it. I hope we don't have to, because we're also going to be into the 2021 curriculum. So I think we have to kind of wait and see how that goes. Has anybody here had any other comments on how online has been going for people? Peter, anything?
No, I know that the online and in person, it's a combination. I know that people have been talking about doing the in person, that they definitely prefer it because it gets into a lot more conversation. But from what I understand, the online has been going well also. I agree. I think that, we'll see what happens with the next phase of the pandemic. And if things are loosened up, we can, the in-person can seat more people. We can have more people involved in it. So I agree with you. Let's wait and see what the numbers look like later on and go from there.
John, do you have anything to offer on that?
No, I would agree with, we're the state of flux no matter how we look at it. So as we get, probably by the November meeting, we'll have a better handle on it.
Any comments by the department? Okay, hearing none. All right, so that's a wait and see scenario. Okay, moving on to new business. Continued education online classes. Question regarding online classes emailed dated August 26th of 2020. Everybody received a copy of that. I'll read it for everybody if you don't have it in front of you. Question came up as to a group using one camera and one monitor will not work for control of classes and student verification of continuance attendance as required by the DCP. This type of arrangement would have to be discussed in greater detail before the license board and the DCP. That's from Richard. Again, I guess what took place here is somebody wanted to basically take a online class, put an online class, and allow for it to be shown and for a group of people to be sitting collectively, kind of like in an in-person class. It's a venue, and trying to take the class. I don't see where that will work, because number one, you've got a tough situation for the instructor to monitor this as he's doing the online. Number two, no good opportunity for good exchange of information between license holders and the instructor and vice versa. And it's not what the intent of the program was. The intent of the program was to duplicate as much as we could an in-person class, which I think we've pretty much done that. So, Richard, I think, yeah, I don't know if Richard's here. Yeah, he is. Richard, do you need us to give you anything more than our opinion on that?
Yeah, it would just be your opinion, the board's opinion, vote to deny the request if that's what you choose to do.
Okay.
And then we could correspond back to them that the board made a decision on today's date.
Okay. All right, so let's somebody make a motion to deny the request of using one camera and one monitor for control of a class and a student. That's scenario.
Yeah, I'll make that motion.
Okay.
I'll second.
Okay. So the request is in essence denied based on a favorable vote here. All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Okay. All right, the motion carries. That request would be denied then. Thank you. Next is the 2021 continuing education provider submissions. You have a list before you of providers that have submitted applications so far to date. When we put the program out there, well, we did not realize or did not know that we were going to be in the situation we are with the pandemic, that we were doing so many things virtually. Richard and I spoke, and it was a case of how do we get all this information out to all the board members and compare it. You can imagine the volume of that's in the books, and Karen trying to throw up all these slides for everybody to try to see and read and what have you. So Richard suggested, and I had no problem doing this, that I basically take a look at them and then report back to the meeting my findings on them, which I have done. Okay. We also had to ask that they submit 3 binders and electronic copy, CD or thumb drive. We've since then noticed out that we only really need 1 binder right now because of the situation we're in. We're not able to collectively sit at the table like we usually do and review. And that although we had a couple of them submitted with CDs, we quickly realized that we didn't have a way to read those any longer, the new computers that were put into the department. And even myself, I don't have a CD drive for that. So basically everybody except for 1 so far has resubmitted on a thumb drive. And I've looked at those, and I have those cataloged here and identified as well, so that we can I can get those back to the department at the right appropriate time for their files. So assuming the board has members have no problem with that method right now, that's the procedure we'll follow. Anybody have any objection to that?
I have no objection.
I have no objection. If you need me to assist you on reviewing a thumb drive, just advise.
Yeah, I will. I will reach out to everybody. As you can see, there's only 6 that have been submitted so far, unlike what we're usually accustomed to, 20 some odd at once. So in the case of national code seminars, I reviewed theirs, and theirs met all of our requirements. So my recommendation is going to be to approve them. In regard to statewide inspections, their submittal was pretty much complete. It was complete, however, they had the wrong ratio chart and ratio relief form in their presentation. They had the old ratio forms in the chart, and they also were missing the calculations. So in that case, I would be sending them back through Karen a email telling them that they need to correct that deficiency. And until it's corrected, it's not approved. Alternative energy, we are still waiting for him to submit a thumb drive. He had submitted a CD, but sure he will submit a thumb drive as requested. Continued electrical needs. Again, I reviewed that, and that met all of our requirements. So recommend approval on that. Independent electrical contractors, I reviewed theirs. Again, that met all of our requirements, and I would make a recommendation for approval. And last but not least at this point, electrical training services, I reviewed their submittal, and it met all of our requirements as well. And I would say that, so I would recommend approval there. So I would like to say that in overall, I see a big improvement in at least the ones that I've received so far as being well organized now and having the proper content. So I got to give credit to these providers for that. This may be just a small sampling, but we'll see. So with that, I'm just going to summarize and ask for somebody if they would entertain the following motion. Approval of national code seminars, continue electrical needs, independent electrical contractors, and electrical training services this time.
I'll make that motion.
I will second that motion.
Any discussion on that? In favor?
Aye, John User.
Aye, Peter Jennings.
Thank you. Thank you.
Congratulations on a lot of work you've done there, Larry.
Thank you.
Thank you.
It's good to be retired, you know? So much for retirement. We should relabel that, by the way. So Karen, if you would send out a letter to those four
Right.
of approval. Statewide inspections, I will write something up and send it over to you that you can forward to him
Okay.
on what's missing. And alternative energy, we'll have to reach out to them once more for
Right.
that's no drive. I think you did just recently again anyway, but
Yeah.
I may just reach out and give him a call.
Okay.
He may have an issue with our request now, but I'll deal with him on that. Okay. All right, so those four programs are approved. We have any other correspondence to come before the board? From anybody? Okay. And again, comments or concerns of anyone here that on anything that was not on the agenda? I have one question to raise, and it goes to Richard Robert. I've had a number of people calling me and saying that they've had their application in for licensing, but haven't heard back from PSI. I've explained to them that PSI has undergone the same thing that everybody else has with this pandemic, and that they were closed for a while, but they're back open, and that they are scheduling people as best they can. But and basically to be patient. There's not much we can do about that at this point. However, I also heard, Richard, and I don't know if this is true or not. Is it true that they're only allowing one person into the testing center at a time? Do you know anything about that?
No, I don't know anything about that. I haven't heard that. And it's obviously you can only, they have one person come in so they can take their picture, and they stand in the area where they could drop their mask, take their picture, and then get them seated. But they're using multiple cubicle spaces. They're just not as tight as they used to be.
Okay.
The other thing I can add is, as of yesterday, they are 3 weeks behind as far as processing applications. So the most current applications they're working on came in 3 weeks ago, but they've added additional staff, and the staff has been put on overtime now to work weekends or later during the evening to catch up on it. So, so it's less than 30 days for them to process an application, which then gets automatically uploaded to us. When they process an application, if it happens to come from a person who completed a Connecticut apprenticeship program, they automatically approve the person to take the test, and they send an email and a postcard to that individual to indicate to them that they should go online or give a call and pick a test date. And then they also keep track of licensed journey persons who have held their journey person's license for a minimum of 2 years, and PSI is allowed to automatically approve those persons based upon their records that they previously tested a person over 2 years or more ago, and they approve those individuals. So we're probably getting less than 20% that comes to the department that we actually have to review, which is based upon equivalent experience and training, and also presenting such to the working groups for the 4 boards that have the memorandum of understanding. which we have dates coming up for that.
Correct. Right. Okay. Well, that's good. That's good to know that they tried to pick up their game, so to speak, over there. And the other thing I also tell the people when they raise this question to me is, you got to understand they're not just doing electrical people; they're doing other occupational trades as well. So there's a fair amount of volume that they do have to handle at a time.
But they have the same conditions we have, where a vast majority of their staff is working remotely. Only
Yep.
a few can get into the office because of spacing requirements, and they're in different locations. They're in Kansas and they're in Las Vegas doing this processing. So, each of those states have their own requirements. So, going overtime and add additional staff should help now. And being 3 weeks behind isn't all that much, because
No.
years ago we used to take us a month to process an application. So everybody today wants it to be instantaneously the second they think PSI received it.
Yeah, and I think the other thing, in all honesty, I think they're doing the best they can based on what you just explained. And by the same token, you're right. Everybody's anxious to get their license, and understandably so. But nobody has had to experience this pandemic situation we're going through, and everybody's trying to do the best they can out there. I truly believe that to be the case. Whether it's
Larry, as far as the Connecticut registered apprentices that completed the Connecticut program, their apprenticeship card remains in effect, provided they had at least mailed in an application within 30 days. It says that right on the apprenticeship completion letter. So they still can be gainfully employed and work legally until such time as they get notified they can take the test. So it's not like, they're put out on the street and they can't work anymore. Their apprenticeship card remains in effect because they have in fact at least applied for the licensure examination.
Yeah, I agree with that. I totally understand that. I think what some of the driving force is that in some cases it's just a situation where they want to take that test as soon as they can, because this information is as fresh as it can be in their minds. And excuse me, the other driving force is obviously as soon as they pass that test, that means substantial increase to their income from their employers. So, but no, I think everybody's doing as best they can under the circumstances. I really do. And from my perspective, I have been dealing a lot more directly with people in the department and so forth. And I just want to say that, for the record, that I think the department is doing the best they can. I think the department's doing a good job. You always find something wrong with something if you look hard enough. So, and people sometimes just like to be critical. So, we're living our dream, as they say. Okay. Does anybody have anything else to come up for? Thanks, Richard, by the way.
Welcome.
Okay, so our next scheduled meeting is October 23rd. That's totally hearings that will be done on Microsoft Teams. Will not be a Zoom meeting. And prior to October 23rd, I'm hoping that we are able to schedule another meeting for some additional board members. So that being said, there a motion to adjourn?
I'll make a motion to adjourn.
I will second that.
Okay. All in favor?
Aye.
Come on, John. John, don't be opposed now. Motion carries. All right, thanks. Thank you, everyone, for this meeting. And Karen, thank you for all your hard work and working so closely with me on some of this stuff. Paulette, thank you to you for your department and everybody. And,
You're welcome.
We'll talk to everybody later.
Thank you.
Okay.
Have a great day.
Have
See
a
you
good,
soon. All right.
have a
take
good week,
care.
everybody.
You too. Bye.
Bye, bye.